Personality can mean so much. For the project, I focused on my story of developing the ability to express my emotions and show my sense of humor in a second language. I have not developed a new personality, but rather I am now just able to share my same personality in a new language. I am finally able to be myself in a second language. I took certain steps to get here. At the beginning of my time in Spain, I was limited in what I was able to say. I was focused on getting my point across and getting the basics. While I am certainly better than como se llama, my Spanish was mechanic and lacked my personality. So, how did I feel at this point? I felt limited and controlled. While I knew my personality was not gone, I was very reserved. I was not very comfortable with my host. From another perspective, I can also imagine that for my host, I seemed closed off and unwelcoming and uncomfortable in their home. It was a two-way street with my limited expressive language abilities. The second phase of developing a personality was just more language acquisition and comprehension. As I became more comfortable with my host's accent, their inflection points, their language tones and speed, and developed some of it on my own, my personality could start to reveal itself. Now, instead of sounding monotone and passive, I could add emphasis to my stories, try to build tension, and change tones. The third phase is the ability to communicate fluently with little to no errors grammatically, so the joke can be understood. At this point, I think there was a change in my confidence. I was able to accurately explain my stories, and my stories reflect part of my personality. With less errors, I could be understood better, and I think my host began to understand me better as a person. The last and final step is forming the joke with the right speed to interject it into the conversation and adding the right voice tone to show that you are being lighthearted and funny, rather than being rude. During the steps, my hosts were able to see me as relaxed, funny, and comfortable. I finally was able to show my personality as I am able to in English. So, how did these steps progress for me while I'm in Spain? There are 4 distinct steps and moments that mark my time here and my story of developing a personality. The first story, when my personality was restricted, occurred at my incident at the Movie Star store about a month into my time here. You all know the story, so I will not repeat all the details, but I was frustrated by my limited language skills, by the complicated bureaucracy at the store, and the desperateness of being phoneless and having limited communication. This was a low for me, and it is evident because I began to cry. My inability to express my emotions led to a very real physical reaction. The second story is more connected to my host family. I received sad news from home about the unexpected deaths of 3 family friends. This news hit me hard and was very sad for me. One night before dinner, I was very sad as I found out more information about the deaths and began to cry. My host mom asked what was wrong, and I briefly told her what had occurred, and then she asked if I was okay. To avoid struggling to explain my mixed emotions, I lied and said I was fine. She and I both know I wasn't fine, but my language barrier prevented me from accurately expressing my sadness, shock, depression, homesick, and a variety of other feelings. Reflecting back on that moment, if I had tried to share how I was upset, I know how comforting my host mom would have been. But alas, it is a learning experience. I am sure to my host mom, I looked closed off and not comfortable with her. My language abilities prevented me from confiding in her. After these 2 moments in which I struggled in expressing my emotions and personality, things began to turn around. My language abilities were improving greatly, I was becoming more comfortable in my host house, and I had gotten to know my host better. The first time I made a successful joke was a big moment for me, but it even wasn't an intended joke. It was an error in how I spoke and I confused words. It was the difference between saying nerd and penis at the dinner table. Luckily, I am lighthearted and able to laugh at myself. The big moment came for me not because I made them laugh, but because I was able to laugh at myself and show that I had a sense of humor and was able to laugh at myself. Though it was an accident, it was a big step in revealing my personality to my hosts. My final story involves when I was able to actually make a joke. It happened during a normal night at the dinner table. We had El Intermedio in the background. Maybe that's what's inspired me to be funny. Looking back, it was a small joke, where I was just sarcastic with my host dad. But it was important for me. Finally, I could reveal my full personality in a new language. I was here. I reached my goal. Revealing my personality is important for intercultural communication. It is a major part of adaptation. Communication in general relates directly to being able to adapt to a new location. In fact, much of adaptation hinges on your ability to communicate fluidly. One can communicate without errors, but as if it is from a textbook, and it can seem very rigid. Personality allows for some more flexibility and seems more welcoming. With personality also comes greater connections and relationships. These relationships then can act as a gateway to more intercultural understanding. But, from what I've learned in 4 months, is that it takes a lot of time. Language acquisition has to come first, and then the personality can be revealed. It is a process. Alas, here I am, a Nikki in 2 languages in 2 places.